Good morning, and thank you for attending Police Headquarters. My name is Constable Carolyn DeClute, and I am here today to introduce Staff Inspector Mike Earl of Hold-Up. He is joined by TTC CEO Andy Byford and will update you on Project Castle, an investigation into TTC collector booth robberies.
Good morning, and thank you for attending this press conference. The members of the Hold-Up Squad are pleased to announce that arrests have occurred in Project Castle. Project Castle is an investigation of armed robberies that commenced with TTC collector booths on the 7th of March. Commencing on the 7th of March, we had 5 TTC collector booths robbed at gunpoint by masked individuals over a 6-week period. Members of the Hold-Up Squad compared these robberies with other unsolved robberies, conducted an investigation along with stakeouts utilizing transit TTC officers, divisional police officers on the TTC line in an effort to apprehend the suspects. On July 24th, 2015, members of the Hold-Up Squad along with ETF, along with divisional policing officers, executed 10 search warrants and arrested 10 individuals in relation to these robberies and other offenses not related to these robberies. A total of 140 charges were laid at that time. The robberies, there's 12 armed robberies from the 7th of March to the 28th of May that these individuals are responsible for, including 5 TTC collector booth robberies, 2 gas station robberies, 2 donut shop robberies, a convenience store, a financial institution, the Scotiabank, and a cash money location. The robberies occurred throughout the City of Toronto, were orchestrated by 3 or more individuals at any given time wearing masks and armed with handguns. At the time of the search warrants were executed on the 24th of July, 3 handguns were located, 2 replica handguns and a loaded .38 revolver, along with stolen TTC passes from the collector booth robberies. The individuals I have before here, the mugshots, are the individuals that have been charged with these robberies, along with a young offender. These individuals, it's our belief that these individuals are responsible for further robberies prior to the 7th of March 2015, and we're hoping that the public can assist through Crime Stoppers in linking these individuals to other robberies, and there's also other individuals with this gang that have committed these robberies with them that have not yet been identified. It is good news to get these individuals off the streets, and they are all appearing in court tomorrow at Scarborough Courts for bail hearings at this time. During the robberies that took place, the 12 armed robberies, there was no injuries. Firearms were produced in each robbery. There was also a theft over and escape lawful custody on Javar Thomas, and Mr. Thomas is also one of the individuals charged with the handgun that was located at the time of the search warrant. 2 of the individuals, Mr. Javar Thomas and Stefan Edwards, are no strangers to the police. They have violent backgrounds, and we're looking for information that may lead us to further robberies for these individuals. At this time, I just want to briefly introduce Andy Byford, who has a couple comments to make in regards to the TTC collector booth robberies, and I'll return for questions. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, everybody. On behalf of the TTC, and just to echo what Staff Inspector Earl just said, this is good news. This is the news we have been waiting for. For too long, these robberies have been going on, so I'm very grateful to the Toronto Police Service and to the Hold-Up Squad, so it's Staff Inspector Earl's squad today, that finally we have some individuals in custody. And that is indeed very good news for the TTC. It's very good news for our employees, because these were shocking incidents, all these various hold-ups, shocking incidents. It is appalling that this kind of thing should happen. If anyone out there thinks that they can rob TTC premises with impunity, then they are wrong. We have taken a lot of steps to increase the security of our staff who work on stations. We've taken steps to increase the security and the target hardening of the booths, the collector booths where the collectors work. We have progressively upgraded our CCTV systems, and it was our CCTV systems that provided compelling evidence that Inspector Earl and his team were able to use. And we've also been progressively reducing the amount of cash that is held on stations. We now have 26 stations, 26 TTC stations that have converted to the Presto system. And by the end of next year, the whole TTC system will be on the Presto smart card. So progressively, we will be removing large amounts of cash from the system. And that's good news, because not only does that give customers a better, more convenient way to travel, but it does reduce the risk still further for our staff. I'd like to acknowledge my Chief Special Constable, Mark Cousins, who's here with us. Mark's team of our Special Constables has worked with the Toronto Police Service, with the Hold-Up Squad. So I'd just like to reiterate just how grateful we are to Toronto Police Service, a very professional, long and painstaking operation in order to bring these people to the point of arrest. So, Staff Inspector, I'd just like to thank you and your team for a professional job, and we look forward to solving the other unsolved crimes that have happened on the TTC at places like Dupont in due course. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Byford. Questions?
Just you talked about there were similarities between the TTC holdups and then the retail robberies, donut store, the other robberies. Can you kind of get into a little more detail as to what the similarities were?
Well, the individuals that would enter the premises with their faces disguised with masks, with their scarves or bandanas, and they would produce handguns. There was similarities because some of these robberies were occurring on the same time. For example, the one TTC robbery happened on the 28th of April at Donlands, and the same within minutes, Saks Fine Foods on O'Connor was robbed. So we started comparing clothing and descriptions and conversation, the words coming out in the MO, and we're making links to these. Similarly, on the 25th of May, we had 3 robberies, I believe, that day, and that was a Scotia Bank, along with a Tim Hortons robbery and a gas station on Kingston Road. And we started comparing the clothing and the words and the MO with the firearms, and it's obviously they're the same people from the TTC. I really do believe that they went from the TTC. We put more visibility on the TTC. We had more transit officers, more Toronto police officers once the series of robberies started, and they went from committing the TTC collector booth robberies and started committing robberies elsewhere probably because of the high visibility that we put in the subway system at that time. On the 28th of May, after the last robbery on Kingston Road, a gas station, the suspects fled in a motor vehicle and lost control due to their due haste and excitement of receiving whatever monies they got, and smashed into a tree in Durham region. So the suspects all fled. It's with that motor vehicle that led us going backwards that assisted us in the investigation to identify a lot of the suspects involved in this series of robberies. So and that's how we came up to the conclusion we did.
Was that a stolen vehicle, or was that one of their vehicles?
It was not a stolen vehicle, and it was not one of the suspects' vehicles either. But with the good work of investigating that aspect of it, it did lead us to other suspects. So, I mean, at the end of the day, there's 6 suspects charged with these 12 armed robberies. We believe there's others involved in this, as their conspiracy charges have been laid. One of the individuals here, Mr. Andre Edwards, he was involved in actually selling the tickets, possessing of the TTC tickets, and some of these individuals were even selling them online. So there was a whole business venture here with this organized group.
Can you get into that a bit? How were they doing that?
I don't know which, one of those Craigslist or Kijijis, something like that, advertising them. But the TTC, again, they keep good records of their passes. There's serial numbers that are able to assist us when there's robberies occurring, so we're able to track these things down.
And are they asking for face value, or are they giving a discount? How does that work?
No, they'd ask them very close to the face value of what they're worth. Otherwise, that would really lead to suspicions.
Were they a street gang, or did they have a name?
Some of these individuals have ties to some of the street gangs. Some of them have ties to the Pelham Park area, in that area, which is known as the Pelham Park Boys or whatever. But I think they're all loose ties to those gangs.
Were they sharing the funds, or was there 1 or 2 guys that were kind of the boss?
There's 1 or 2 guys that are more experienced than the rest of them. So it's quite obvious that I think if you want to put it in a pecking order, there's a couple individuals here that's not their first trip to the dance, right? So then you have other individuals that have never been before the courts.
You said Mr. Thomas and Mr. Edwards have violent backgrounds. They've been involved with criminal activity before. Have either of those men been involved with TTC holdups, or do you think this is their first foray into that area of crime?
Yeah, it's not their first debut, but it's definitely not. My understanding, they haven't been involved in TTC robberies before, and that's my understanding.
Maybe Mr. Byford can speak to, these are all often very traumatic robberies for these collectors, and I know in the past we've tried to speak to some of the collectors who are victims of the holdups. In the 5 cases here, can you just speak to whether these collectors have been able to return to work, and just how they've been impacted by being a victim of a robbery?
Sure. I mean, as you say, it is very traumatic. You don't come to work to expect to have a gun pointed at you or to be threatened and to be robbed. I mean, at the end of the day, you're there to deliver a service to the customer. And as I said, I think it's appalling that people think that they can do this kind of thing with impunity. So it is traumatic to the members of staff involved. Invariably, they're off for a period of time. We offer counseling to any member of staff that does get involved in an incident like that. And in some cases, it takes weeks, even months or longer to get over what is a very traumatic experience.
Have they all returned to work, or have some of them stayed off?
Most have returned to work. In some cases, some are still off. It really depends on the individual and the nature of the trauma that they've received.
Do you think things are safer now? I mean, that the inspector was saying, staff inspector was saying that this is, the security that you added, the extra officers, that may have curtailed the TC being a target. Can you speak to, for every rider, I think we want to know, what have you done to make it safer to ride, and therefore to keep the collectors from being a target of robbers?
Sure. Well, for customer and staff safety, we have progressively rolled out and upgraded our CCTV system. So any new vehicles have CCTV, that comes as standard. So our new buses, that comes as standard, for example. New streetcars come fitted with state-of-the-art CCTV. We've progressively upgraded the CCTV on our stations so that it provides imagery of a police standard, in other words, standard that can be used in court. We have got back to full strength with our transit enforcement unit. In fact, we've just upgraded our TEOs, our transit enforcement officers, to special constables to give them more status and to give them more power so that they're more able to deal with incidents as they arise. We have hardened the target in that we've made changes to the design of the booth. I don't want to say too much about that because obviously there's a certain security issue there, but we've taken steps to protect our staff. We've got more staff on station, so we've increased the number of station staff, introduced group station managers, duty station managers, station supervisors to what were traditionally very lowly staffed stations. We have added fare inspectors who are more people who are out there, obviously with an overt job to do to check fares, but also to offer customer service and to offer security and comfort to the decent majority of fare-paying customers. So I think it's a whole raft of issues, but the main thing for me is also taking out the potential for robbery by reducing the amount of cash in the system. And that is one of the big benefits of Presto. By the end of this year, all of our streetcars will be fitted with Presto devices. Right now, 26 stations are fitted with Presto devices. By the end of next year, the SRT, Wheel-Trans, all subway stations, all of the buses, and all of the streetcars will have Presto fitted. So I think you need to look at this holistically by reducing the risk and by hardening the target and having better cooperation with the TPS. And you see a lot of Toronto Police Service officers out there working with us now. I think that's how we provide that assurance to the public and to our employees.
Thanks.
Okay, there's we'll be remaining for further questions after the news conference, so that ends the news conference. Thank you for attending.